as a person who cares about people's inner and outer well-being, since we do being yourself, the inner growth mindset. I'm a 5D mystic though, remember, so woo-woo for those of you who don't know life as a mystic, and I'm okay with it. I'm also pseudoscience because I bring to human, spiritual, and spirituality elements. Science prevails because it shares with us very good information. It dispels myths, like the fact that there's demons coming out of the earth because of volcanoes or whatever's happening. If you learn about geomagnetic storms and how they can be affecting our lovely planet, you'll know there's a reason, there's a scientific explanation. Not needing to talk about demons coming from anywhere and this fear-mongering of the 4D and 3D plane as if we need to continue being in a let's bow down as if we've done something that was sinful, and a way of making some person feel like a piece of shit. So when you look at Michael Stone, forensic criminologist, his scale of evil 1 to 22, they're all people who can make use of a good therapist. Okay, so in a 5D mystic, enlightenment, functional adult, right here, spirituality lady and sciences lady, but pseudoscience lady and woo-woo. I live a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. I was determined. Thank you, twin. Have a twin that I was in the womb with, so I always have known a life beyond solo self. I'm automatically connected to another person. Okay, and I have the luck to have a mother who raised me with secure attachment, no shame right here, no helpless child who says, oh, I have emotions, I should be ashamed of myself. No fear about relationships. I'm not a misanthropist. I love humans, all of them, and animals. And I love to see that we're going to be getting our ecosystem in check as sciences prevails. And thank goodness we have technology and sciences, because some people, well, they want to live the ancient times. And, well, some people, we stay in the present because we're using our prefrontal cortex and we have integration of the brain. So we're not on else's journey. And you don't pull the wool over the eyes of an empowered individual, woman, man, they, because our inner child isn't looking for a superhero or supervillain. Nobody gets on pedestals or beneath it. Okay, so with that being said, all people are loved, accepted, and respected. And when we get to meet people who are taking their inner well-being seriously, and so in this case, I'm using a favorite person. Let's say that there's a favorite person of ours who has borderline personality, and they're working with a good therapist. So that means they're not saying, I'm going to stay in my maladaptive child behavior, that they're going to stay with shame and guilt and the paranoid thinking and the split thinking. No, they get to know how to work with their surface content and their core content. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Fox, for these words. So the core content, shame, guilt, blame, the inner child that needs their attention. Surface content, the way they behave and the way that they could be thinking, okay? So once you learn enough about yourself from somebody who's an expert and you take yourself seriously, you're going to say, okay, this is how I'm going to work with my catastrophizing thinking. I'm going to let people that are in my life know about it. And I'm also going to do exercises that help me to work with it. So this is about you choosing to work with yourself and to trust that you're working with yourself thanks to good psychoeducation, but you hearing it, self-reflective with the emotions, with the data points. So Dr. Daniel Fox is really great for anything that you would want to learn about when it comes to the core content and surface content. He helps to explain to you what all of the antisocial personality and borderline and then other of the DSM models. I forget how they're organized. So that's where I don't go and look up buzzwords, because I don't plan on having a community that wants buzzwords. We have conversations, and I'm not a dictionary. I don't plan on being one. I'm informal, always ask questions. And I'm not here for lists. I don't do lists. It's not an explanation. This is a conversation. Okay, so if I meet a person who's doing work, I will know that because they'll tell me, you know, when I am in my brain thinking, this is what happens. Okay, so they know how to tell me when they get worried. They know how to tell me if they're upset. That's because they are taking seriously their journey and they're stopping to believe the voice, the inner war, the family, the insecurity. They're stopping to hear that because they've learned that inner voice is my child parts. For example, the dissociative identity disorder, they have alters. They have different child parts. It can be, they will identify, they give them names, they can learn what and when they were born, how they're supporting them, how they supported their entire organism to organize emotionally, mentally, all of it. So if a person understands the psychoeducation, they can share it. And they choose, therefore, to be vulnerable with person. Okay, so what I learned about a favorite person for people who have BPD is that they will have a way of idealizing, and then there's a way that they can catastrophize thinking. Okay, so if you get taught well what you're dealing with, like with Dr. Daniel, again, Fox, he shares, okay, you put that person back down. Nobody goes on a pedestal. Fair and square, because we're all equals. And then when you're chit-chatting, what triggered it? What happened? And have the conversation. Obviously, you want to have a healthy self-worth, safe space person, which is what happens when they find securely attached women, men, theys. But I'm a woman, so I'm going to talk to you from a securely attached woman's perspective, empowered, mystic, with my oversoul and twin flames, soulmates. This is why we don't have sagas or dramas with anyone. But if you don't tell me about how your thoughts work, I can't do anything because I don't read your mind. Okay, so the people who become aware of their inner world are the ones who can share vulnerably, this is what I'm dealing with, and this I'm working on it. And that's because though they choose to live a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self, and to understand that their pathology is not fixed. Behavior can be understood and worked with. That's what's shown. The core content, you work with it. The shame, the guilt, you get rid of it in time. That's with the people that are in your circle who will relate to you as a person. I won't treat you differently because you have something. No, you tell me, I'll tell you. You know what? Your attitude. What do you want? We'll talk about it. Or you say, okay, you know what? This tone right here, whenever this happens, I get triggered in this way. So we're going to have to figure out how to work with that one. And we figured out there's a tango. There's no boxing gloves. There's no, you can't come home if I'm in 50% mode and you're in 80% mode. And there's no can or cannot do's. These lists are for maladaptive child, the teenagers who tell each other how to do life. I'm talking about people who want to roll and tumble and tango. And so we work with each other and life. And if you're working with your emotional plane, you're going to work with people, because that it's not work because it's work. When I use that word, it's because I'm comfortable with emotions and thoughts, but it's a work in progress. So you expanding to your consciousness, to your infinite higher human conscious potential, it's you working every time those emotions come up, the chit chatter. Okay, so when I have a favorite person and I know that they have BPD, and they have this catastrophizing thinking or whatever it is, I will do everything that I can to work with them so that I can and they can, in time, create what is going to be a beautiful relationship. Because, for example, the loneliness and emptiness, I have a feeling, you're in love with me. No, but that's a cute song. But I have a feeling that with the good psychoeducation, you grounding everything and understanding how your brain works and how it protected you and how your body protected you in an environment that was dysregulated and dysfunctional, that you're going to get home to what your body was originally born to be, secure attachment. My mammalian heritage is yours. And your brain and my brain, they're both brains. So while they're still studying and looking into borderline personality and they're still using disorder, I am certain that in time, because mindfulness, meditation, yoga is showing to support the very infrastructure, your embodied brain. So yoga is a ventral vagal portfolio of toning exercises, which is why it's not demons that come out of you, but there's emotional triggers and more. There's charges, trauma charges, like the body keeps the score. Thank you, Basil van der Kolk. The mind keeps account, and that's from a lady that I need to look up the book, but she talks about that. And yeah, your thoughts. So you are the one who can say, okay, my thoughts are not true. My feelings are coming up and they serve a meaning. They came from somewhere, because my first 3 years of life are implicit memory. And then I have explicit. So the sensations, images, affects, meanings, behaviors. The behavior comes up as a reason. So it's about working with somebody who's securely attached so that you can unlearn a pattern that was serving you as a child at a home that wasn't safe. I'm safe. And that's why if I have a favorite friend, and I have some friends, one friend I'm thinking about, but they have a very different way, and it's a friend acquaintance. But what I was trying to get to is I will be there, like the song of being there for each other. And as a securely attached person, I know that nothing that can come out of your mouth will be offensive. But if you don't tell me what you're thinking about, I can't work with you, you know? So the part about a person working with their self is how you work with another and tangoing together. And that's why no matter what diagnoses, a securely attached woman, as long as the person's doing work, and it'll be obvious if they are. We're going to work with them because we're a safe haven, secure base. and they're going to get to be their own safe haven, secure base, fingers crossed. So unconditionally loving and supporting each other to become more love. Tune in and have a great one.